Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack. Today's episode of A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack is brought to you by Short Order Burger Co. I, for one, believe it's the best burger in Perth, Australia. And whether you live in Perth and you haven't tried it, or whether you're going to go to Perth and you're looking for the best burger, I advise you go to this place. They've got two stores, one on Hay Street in the city, 800 Hay Street, and one in Fremantle at 3 William Street. The Fremantle is a new store. It looks like an absolute vibe. Great place to go for a drink and enjoy a big old burger. When you go into the store, mention the code word Sidetrack and you'll get 10% off your order. That's a gift from us and a gift from Short Order to you for listening to the podcast. Go out there and enjoy a burger, yo. I just had a package arrive in my house. And it's a package from home. You guys, Mum, Dad, Jeff, you all sent me some delights from home. There's some of Mum's fruitcake. There's some Anzac biscuits. There's my renewed license. There's also there's a package in there, or there's a sub-package, if you will, of a anti-aging face mask and a tongue scraper to avoid bad breath. Now that specifically says from Jeff and Dad. So what are you trying to say?
That's so funny that you've read it like that. I am not trying to say anything. I am merely, it's referencing two things. When I was in the Barossa with Holly, we did those exact face masks and we showed you some footage of us having fun wearing them and stuff. And we both said to each other, like, how fun would it be to do them with Jono and everything. So I just decided to buy you one, so maybe you can do it
Thank you very
yourself
much.
And enjoy that moment and enjoy the moisture. And then the tongue scraper is something that, Holly bought for me because I'd hers off at her place, and she just does it every morning. It feels really good, and just cleans stuff off your tongue.
No, thank you.
And that's the third one I've gifted since receiving one for Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, they're quite a cool thing. It's just like a cool little part of your morning routine to scrape some shit off your tongue.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like that's a real additive to the morning routine. My tongue sometimes has layers of shit on it.
You've said that before, and that's also, I'm looking out for you in that regard. I'm not just giving a tongue scraper to anyone. You've complained of having quote-unquote tonsil cakes before, so I thought this maybe scrapes them out.
Yeah, tonsil cakes are disgusting.
The mere thought of them makes me shudder.
But you've never had a tonsil cake?
I don't think so.
Well, for those people who don't know, a tonsil cake is like a small little white thing that sometimes you cough up. I get them maybe once every month, or one will just kind of pop out of my mouth. But it's basically just a build-up.
What the fuck?
It's a build-up of bacteria behind your tonsils, because your tonsils are there's holes and stuff. It's almost like a cave system. And you can get it's just food and muck that gets stuck back there and then forms a solid piece. There's no real way to get rid of them. Some people get them. Some people just have differently shaped tonsils. Some people get real big ones as well. But I've only just had little small ones.
The fact that you just said it could come out at any point, sometimes you cough them up or something, but sometimes they just come out, suggests that you could just be talking and it just goes out of the mouth.
Oh, I mean, no, it's
into someone's latte.
It's not so much like that. It's more like you kind of feel them and you cough it up, preferably onto someone.
Either way, it sounds delicious. Sounds like a piece of Parmesan cheese landing on your arm. That's not Parmesan cheese.
Ugh, that is grim. I definitely wouldn't like to eat one or put one on pasta.
Oh,
But yeah, thank you very much for the gifts. I'll test those out. What do you think is the best gift you've ever been given? The first one that comes to mind.
I really enjoyed when I was given a suit. Like I was able to go out and buy like nothing crazy expensive, but just like a suit that was fashionable rather than wearing one that I bought when I was 18 and traveling through Vietnam. That was a cool gift. Last Christmas I got a really nice yoga mat, which is like really cool to like level up in that department. I really love the kind of gifts we've bought ourselves, like in the studio or something, like when we've bought ourselves new monitors or something. It's like reinvestments. I think of them as
Getting yourself a gift is pretty important. I feel like the latest gift I got myself that I can think of is like a speaker. My Bluetooth speaker. I probably would have bought that nearly about a year ago. Just under a year ago. And I think how much it's changed my life being able to like listen to music without having to wear headphones. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. Literally.
It really is. You and the other good people of the UK have been given a gift today in the form of some sort of a COVID plan by your government.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
When we went into this lockdown, we went into a lockdown in December and then it kind of got doubled down in January. But there was never really, I think it started in December. There was never really any timeline about when it was going to end. So this is the first bit of, even if it's a plan and even if it needs to be agreed upon by the other party and, it's a rough plan, it's the first set of dates that have been suggested when the UK can go back to some form of normality. So there's a bit of a roadmap, which makes me feel pretty positive about, like, there's end in sight. People can start planning for stuff. People can start planning for holidays, festivals, maybe even shows, like that type of stuff. It just gives a bit more security and some surety in such uncertain times, even though it's not 100% that's what's going to happen. I think it's definitely brightened my mood and brightened the mood of others around me. But at the same time, I feel like maybe I've decided to come home for a bit, and I feel as though getting this news is like, maybe I shouldn't come home anymore. That's how I felt when I first heard the news. I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I've stuck it out this long. Maybe I should just keep sticking it out. But there's obviously multiple reasons for me coming home. And it's not just, it's motivated by work stuff and obviously to see you guys, and shows. But I know part of me is like, good news for the UK, but I'm going back to Australia. So I'm not going to be able to enjoy the possible back to normality that's here. And I feel like I deserve to enjoy a good summer in the UK, opposed to going back to Australia, going into a winter, and possibly going into a situation where there's the possibility of more snap lockdowns from the West Australian government. I would be very disappointed if I came home and the UK started to come out of their lockdowns and it was like, it's kind of this, like a summer we had last year, and there was a couple of cases, maybe there was a case of COVID in Australia or in Western Australia, went into a lockdown, and because it was cold and it's flu season anyway, we start going into some lockdowns there. I don't know. My mind goes to those places.
Yeah, I can understand that. Hopefully by then vaccinations in Australia will have rolled out and things like that. But yeah, our road to recovery is still not complete. We still haven't got restriction-free partying and stuff like that. And, this is 8 months after they thought we'd be out of the lockdown. So it's just interesting to, consider that in the way things are moving.
There's also a part of me that's like, and I've been contemplating this in my journal. I don't want to be. I want to come out of lockdown. I know I've talked about this, having a end of Star Wars-esque party, right at the end of lockdown.
The Ewoks.
Yeah, or at the end of COVID. But more so, I want to be with the people that I've experienced this with and have formed closer connections with. I want to be with those people at the end, If I come home...
That's understandable.
I'm coming home to not many people really understanding how maybe I've felt in the last year. And I think that can be a kind of isolating feeling. And there's, that's kind of a fear in the back of my head. It's like I'm leaving home to go somewhere else. I've talked about it before, how London is my home now. And that going back to Australia isn't like going back home. It's like going somewhere else. It's going away from home. And I think that feeling of home being in the UK has been really exaggerated by COVID. And everything has a bit more meaning, and all your friendships have a bit more meaning because you've kind of gone through this weird time of your life with these people and you've bonded closer. And there's a part of me that's like, I'm leaving all that to go back to somewhere where they might not have necessarily shared a similar life experience over the last year.
Yeah, but Australia's doing different stuff. We don't...
It is. Australia is doing different stuff.
And life here is closer to normal than what you've experienced for the whole year.
But like I said, I think I said it to you last night, like my normal, you adapt to what your normal is. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about going home. I ebb and flow between being excited and thinking about seeing you guys and hugging mum and dad and working in the studio with you and going for a swim and seeing my friends and all those type of things. And then I think of what I'm leaving behind here. And like a wise friend told me, shout outs to Mr. Simon Coney, is that it's not the end of anything. It's just part of the journey. So it's not like I'm leaving and can't come back. I mean, that would be the plan. But it's I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to process. This year has just been a lot of fucking difficult emotions to process, and it's really highlighted my sometimes inability to process things and allow myself to feel certain emotions and that be okay. And I think there's going to be like this moment, maybe when I'm on a plane or when I'm land back in Australia, where it all kind of hits me. Yeah, so it feels odd at the moment.
Yeah, it's completely understandable that you'd feel like that and you'd have a lot of, emotions to process. It's also, I think, being in the lockdown situation that you've been in is a lot more insulated. So you've had those emotions like in smaller amounts, but like in like more isolated. What I'm trying to say is that you've felt the emotion and you've just had nowhere to go with it. Like it's like you haven't been able to share it with many people, or like only a select group of people. So it's been a richer emotion. Like if I can make the analogy to like a sauce, like you've really reduced that emotion down to the thick, syrupy goodness or badness of those emotions.
Absolutely.
Rather than being able to clear them out quickly.
I think that's with everything. Like, because we've been living under such restrictions, everything that you do and everything that you feel suddenly becomes like so much more impactful. I've been running a lot with Max, and the last shout outs to MC Linguistics.
Shout out to Max.
And on Sunday we ran to London Bridge. It was like 8Ks, and then we ended it with a coffee and donut and a pizza. And we've gotten this donut a couple of times. And then we sat by the river and it was sunny.
Delish.
And doing that with him has become, it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to go running with my mate. It's become something that's so important to my heart that to not do that makes me sad. Yeah. And it's like those tiny little things, is going to have a beer with sitting and having a beer with Seb in the park, or going for a walk to grab a coffee with Adelaide, or like just going for a walk with Shawnee or Jim, like just doing these things that are kind of, I guess they might seem normal to people back home, but they're so special to me at the moment. And I'm kind of feel like I'm giving up that.
For potentially like fast food relationships back here rather than rich chef made meals.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like I'm saying my relationships back home are fast food, but I don't know. I'm not going back home and just like slotting back into my friendship groups.
No, yeah, you're a new JoJo.
Yeah, and I'm not. I don't know. Like I don't know how people do it who go on short-term visas and live a life for a couple of years and then go back home. It was my aim to try to live a life here, you know, and to be able to stay. I think it'd be really. I guess people that do this and are doing the visa that I'm on are usually younger and are usually more just like, let's just go to the UK for 2 years and fuck about. Oh,
and have a casual job, which makes you
yeah. They have a casual job. They party hard.
They travel every few weeks.
Yeah,
but you've had a different experience.
Yeah. And it's more of like a lifestyle experience. Like I'm looking at property. I'm investing in the Southeast. No, and you know, that's age, that's COVID, that's where I am in my life, and it's just fucking weird to give up on that. I shouldn't say give up. Yeah, I shouldn't say giving up. It's a pivot that I can always change. But that's what I'm trying to view coming home. I'm trying to view it like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to try to do some shows. I'm going to write lots of music with you. I'm not leaving. I'm going on a holiday. And yes, that holiday is going to cost me a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that I have to, I'm not staying forever.
Yeah, your aspirations are back in Europe.
Yeah. And I just have to believe that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I have to do.
Totally. I quite tired at the moment. I had a really long night in the studio on Saturday night. I was here till 4 a.m. And then I stayed up late on Sunday watching a movie. We'll come back to some movies because I've got some hits and misses for you and the listeners. But I worked all day yesterday. Then I went to a mate's house and swam in the pool and had a barbecue, and it was delightful. But I'm really tired, and I've had an emotionally draining 48 hours, I'd say. And I am reminded of my not lowest, but like the stories you can tell yourself when you feel like this, of just like, fuck it. I want something easy. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, you know, this thing that's, you know, that we've got to deal with over here, that's just put that in the fucking too hard basket. I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, and then I think like, will I be able to live overseas? Like, is that something that's in my future? Or is this, you know, what does this even look like? Oh, fuck, man. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to, you know, do this. Like, you know, there's just, everything just feels like impossible.
Yeah.
But I know that, you know, after a good night's sleep and after some work in the studio and some mental space, I will think like very optimistically about things. So one thing I play with is like, just turn off your thinking brain too much in these situations. You're tired. You've done enough. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to plan the next year right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just chill. And that's what I'm teaching myself, because otherwise you just run away with anxious or depressive thoughts, I think.
I think having a lack of sleep is such a lack of sleep and not much exercise is just a absolute formula to be put into a situation when you have those thoughts. Like yesterday, I had a friend's birthday Zoom on Sunday night and we got quite drunk, and I had to work yesterday for about 12 hours. And it was tough. And there was a point where I was thinking about going home. They'd announced the restrictions or the roadmap to restrictions being lifted. And then I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't go home. What if I don't go home? Okay. And then my mind literally just ran away. And I was thinking like, think of all the things you're missing out on, blah, blah, blah. And then it would be like, yeah, but think of all the things you get to do when you go home. And it was just like, my mind was literally absolutely running away from me. And then I had to stop, take a few breaths in, and I was like, you can't do anything about any of the shit that you're worrying about right now.
Yeah.
All you have to do is fucking figure out why this dishwasher is leaking. or just make these orders, or put away this thing, or like, you know,
just be present.
Just be present and just do the thing, because there's really no point ruminating or worrying about something that you cannot deal with right now. But it's so hard to not. And especially when you're tired and when you're hungover and you've got that like hangover anxiety and all that stuff, it just, your brain is running at like, my brain was running at like 40% yesterday. And I really tried to be like, I think I made just a small little list of things that I had to do. And I just ticked those little things off. One of them was just like listening to a demo that you sent me and sending back something to you.
Yeah, and they're just the wins, and you just know that's what you...
That's the win. Fucking ordering a coffee on the phone, and like a bacon sandwich from a shop in Soho. That was that was a struggle, but that was a little win. And just like little tasks.
Wow, you really must have fed yourself through the mincer, right?
I did.
Were you you weren't the murderer or the victim?
I was the Shawnee was detective and I was her assistant. But it was very funny. We just got so drunk. Really just nailed a bit. When you're having fun and when you just don't even think about like the amount of alcohol you're drinking, and you're kind of drinking so fast and just so regularly that like you think you're drinking one beer, but you've actually had 3 in that time. I don't know. It was fun. It was really funny. I saw a meme posted on Instagram that was like, you're not replying to messages, you haven't asked someone how they're doing, you feel unproductive at work. Just remember, it's okay. Everyone feels like this. No one is judging you for it. Like, it's important to be easy on yourself. And it was something that was like aimed at people, I think, in the UK, because a lot of people I've spoken to have been kind of feeling that, like under a lot of pressure and kind of being quite hard on themselves. But it's interesting that we put so much pressure on ourselves and live these kind of stress-filled lives, even in situations where we don't have to. Like, I sometimes feel like I live under the stress of like how an astronaut might feel, or like a deep sea diver, when anything that I'm doing absolutely doesn't matter that much.
How do you feel that stress?
Pressure. I mean, I'm working.
It's 9 atmospheres down here.
I do. The kitchen is technically underground, so I'm experiencing 1 atmosphere. No, like, I mean, you know, working in a kitchen is kind of stressful, but like, I definitely feel like the balance between productivity and stress and everything. Just I feel that a lot more than I probably have to.
Imagine you were a fucking astronaut.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
You just explode. All right, we're going to have to teach you some physics on the fly, and you're going to go through a few years of training, and then you just grind into a ball of dust. It actually reminds me, what you've just said, Jonathan, of a quote that I read today from a guy I follow on Instagram called Young Pueblo. He's just I think he's a writer or something. It says, if you need to take it slow, do so boldly. The speed of society can be exhausting. Technology can feel draining. The false competition in your mind against others can decrease your happiness. Personal success is more likely when you focus on your path and live without rushing.
Live without rushing is good.
Yeah, man, like rushing by very definition is doing something too fast. Like you're rushing through it. Like it's happening faster than you'd like, I think. Like, what's the saying?
Only fools rush in?
No, I think it's one of those Navy SEAL guys that says it, but it's like in the world of like SEAL operation and stuff like that, rushing will get you killed. So it's like slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So like that's how you're aiming to do it quickly. You're not aiming to do it as hectically as possible. It's like things that are urgent versus things that are important.
Yeah.
You know, if you had to pick up the most amount of tennis balls in a minute from a big pile, you might just do it really hectically, thinking that's the best way, but it actually might be faster just to pick out each one and place it in the bucket.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's definitely prevalent in kitchens, because if you rush in a kitchen, usually you fuck it up.
Yeah.
But you do something so many times and you plate something up that it becomes it's like second nature, and therefore it's smooth, and it's kind of, you can work organized and it's not chaotic.
Something kind of relating to that is I was reading about FOMO the other day.
Mm.
Do you think you suffer from FOMO? It's a trick question because we all do. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I mean, I do, but also I feel like I suffer from it less. Maybe after this whole experience, I don't feel it as much. But yeah.
In what way?
Well, maybe as a protective. So, for instance, when I saw you doing a show, I really wanted to be there doing a show with you. But I knew that I couldn't be there. You know, I had made a decision, and I was experiencing things here that it was kind of, even though it was at a shitty time, I knew I couldn't be there. But if I came home and things went back to normal in the UK, and I saw there was like a party in some sort of beer garden, and I was back home, I would feel FOMO because I'd made a decision to, like, I hadn't like committed to the decision. It was a decision that I didn't necessarily have to make.
Yeah, so you do feel
sense?
FOMO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer to your question is yes.
Yeah, I do as well, and I feel FOMO, you know, whether it's missing out on something or someone being like, well, of course it's missing out on something. FOMO is the fear of missing out. But, you know, whether it's like a little investment opportunity or someone being like, oh, you should come to this party, and then you go like, I didn't go, and then they're like, you see it that night, and you're doing nothing, and you see everyone having fun, and you're like, I like having fun.
Yeah, so...
like, what have I chosen to do? Like, oh, I made a wrong decision, like that kind of thing.
I don't think I feel FOMO like that. I can't remember the last time that I decided not to do something, and then something like a party or going to...
well, let's be honest, you really haven't had those opportunities in the last year.
No, but like even when I did, I don't remember ever being like, I'm not going to go out or I'm not going to go do this thing, and then go, oh, I should have done that thing.
I think you struggle with FOMO most between choosing between two things.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then invariably I try to fit so many things in. Yeah, it's like I've got too many options.
Can I read you a quote about FOMO?
Sure.
This is from fashion designer, entrepreneur, LA native. I think he's from LA. Maybe he's not, but he lives in LA. He's the owner of the Hundreds, and it's Bobby Hundreds. He's talking about crypto media and investments and stuff. And he says, for one, FOMO is a collective lie. For one, FOMO is a collective lie. Your better life is always the one in front of you, with the resources and relationships at your disposal. Secondly, especially with zeitgeist trends, have faith that the worthy ideas take time and thoughtfulness to sustainably build. And have faith that worthy ideas take time and thoughtfulness to sustainably build. He goes on to say, one thing I've learned is that having the knowledge and access to an opportunity is not enough juice to seize it. You have to hold the passion and care, otherwise you won't last. Different hearts are wired to latch onto different loves, so don't dive into a venture simply because you're afraid of missing the boat. There's another boat out there specifically tailored for you, and you won't be the one swimming after it. You'll be driving it. And I think that's very, very important to remember in any of the decisions you make coming up this year, whether it's, deciding to come home or, oh, I want to be at this party at the when COVID restrictions are lifted, or I want to be in this country, or I need to do a tour or something like that. Like, believing that you're right where you're meant to be is kind of an important thing. I struggle with it as well, and I also, struggle with why me sometimes? Like, fuck, I just wish this was easier. I just wish I could do that or something.
Yeah.
But then that becomes, you have to be reminded of perspective. Like, I was having a rough moment just rushing around at work today, struggling with something. And I was just like, oh, I'm running late. This is annoying. I'm really tired. I don't want to, like, just in one of those, having one of those moments. And then I saw a homeless person just sitting there in a little alley. And it wasn't a case of me being like, oh, I'm so much better off than that person or something like that. It was just a very instant visual on that I'm actually complaining from a very privileged position.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, okay, maybe this is like, it's fine. I'm just like, it was just some perspective. It was just like a little gentle reminder from the universe.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% understand how that feels, because I've, even now spent this podcast talking about how I feel emotionally and how about coming home and all this stuff. And I've got the privilege to be able to, one, live in a different country, and two, can buy a flight home. There's some people that can't get home at the moment.
And there's some people, Jonathan, that have no prospect. They're literally, they've lost their jobs. They haven't really got any plan on coming back, and they're just hoping for summer of freedom, and then they have to rebuild their lives.
Yeah.
You're actually returning to something here in Perth that you can work out, restructure and rebuild.
And it's not, I mean, I'm so lucky, but that's the thing with perspective as well, because I think we've talked about it before. You can't just ignore your own feelings just because you go, well, actually, I'm lucky because I'm not homeless, so I should stop feeling how I feel.
No, that's ridiculous. And it doesn't, it's like, there's someone always going to be worse off than you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
But you can't, that doesn't fix how you feel or how problems are.
No.
Your problems in your life are always just relevant to you and relevant to your situation. I'm sure a billionaire still wakes up sometimes and is like, I'm just in a shit mood because I feel like I'm not fucking doing this correct. I'm not being productive enough. I'm like, we've all got this inner thought and this inner judgment in your head.
There's no such thing as perfect life or being perfectly happy. It's being content with what you have and where you're at, and knowing that you're building on something and moving forward.
Yeah, movement is the most important thing, not stagnation.
To shift gears a little bit, I watched 2 movies on the weekend.
Yep.
One was really good, and one was bad enough that we paused it, looked at each other and said, yeah, let's fast forward to the end and see what happens.
Give me that one first.
Okay. The first one was a movie called A Ghost Story, starring Casey Affleck. And I respect the artistic nature of the movie. I thought it looked fantastic, but it is extremely masturbatory, because it basically has the main character, Casey Affleck, dying in the first 10-15 minutes, and then he becomes a ghost, like in a white sheet, like with a white sheet and eye holes cut out of it, and then the rest of the movie basically has very little dialogue in it, and he just he's tied to this house where his wife lives, and he just wants to interact, and he can kind of interact with the outside world, but time seems to move in strange ways. But it is incredibly boring.
Yeah.
And I will never get those 93 minutes back.
It's disappointing because I remember seeing the trailer and being like, that looks cool, but it looks a bit boring.
Yeah, it just did and the payoff, we fast forward to the end and we're like, get the fuck out.
So don't watch Ghost Story. That's your hot tip.
Don't watch Ghost Story. Just read about it if you want to. But yeah, there's no need to watch it. But do go watch Promising Young Woman.
Is that the film about sexual abuse?
Yes, it is.
That's recently come out that's causing quite a stir.
Yeah. Starring Carey Mulligan.
Yeah.
And it's directed by Emerald Fennell, and it's also written by her. But
great name.
It is. She's done some writing of other movies, and she played Camilla Parker Bowles in The Crown, if that's your thing.
Oh.
So she's an actress, but she's also written. But the movie is excellent, and it goes where you want it to go, and also takes some extremely strange left turns, and you think it's something else, and it's not, and it's funny, and it's heartbreaking, and it's a really good movie.
Okay, put on the list.
Yeah. Yes, you should, and so should the listeners. I'm really tired. I'm sorry. I feel like I've been a bit flat, and
It's okay, buddy.
haven't given you much.
You don't need to give me much. Seeing your face is enough of a gift for me.
I ran into a few podcast listeners during the week, and they said they really enjoy it. So shout out to the dude I met at the Base Watch party. I think his name's Lewis. Yeah, he listens every Friday. He tunes in and sees what we're up to.
Big up, Lewis.
It's always cool to hear someone come up to, or someone just comment on the podcast that they listen and stuff. So it was really nice. This is the perfect time to say, if you do enjoy the podcast, feel free to tell your friends or like it and review it on the Apple Store or wherever you get your podcasts. Just if you can say something as well, write a nice little comment. That's always cool and helps ratings or whatever. I got some email the other day that said we had cracked the top 50 talk podcasts in New Zealand and done like top 100 in 2 other countries or something at one point. I don't know how true that was, but it was it was a boost in confidence anyway.
That's good. It's weird because it's good to any feedback is cool to know, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's something we're working on. We're building on on what the podcast is wanting to become, and we would like to grow it into grow and expand it and do different stuff with it. So yeah, it's great to get positive feedback or negative feedback. Just it's nice that people tune in and and listen to me yawn.
Yeah, I like that. I know everyone likes to hear you yawn as much as I like to.
Have you got anything else to share, Jonathan, from your week?
Yeah, working on music today, working tomorrow, and Thursday working on music, then working Friday. Kind of tit for tat with work and studio. And
I heard some of the music you sent me the other day, and it's quite exciting. So it's all happening. In that case, Jonathan, I bid you farewell, and I shall go home to my cocoon, wrap myself in it, and emerge a beautiful butterfly in the morning.
Sounds beautiful. I love you, buddy.
more positive. I love you too, man. Thanks for chatting to me, and I'll chat to you soon. Stay buoyant.
I will. I look forward to seeing you fly.
See you, man. Love you.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.